amanya n'eddoboozi nze Ntongo Front.
Christine Sandy.
Mwanje Steven Kabanana.
Serunya Anes Kaddu.
Eno program bagiyita Film Agenda 256.
Oftentimes when one speaks about or talks about visual arts, much of what people think about is the painting and the drawing of pictures. But guess what? There is a lot more to visual art. Say like the ceramic art, like we are going to be discussing today about this particular form of art. One of the oldest forms of art, but unfortunately today, one of the less practiced forms of art. Take a look at this. This is pottery. Now, pottery is one of those elements that follow under the ceramic art. And to join me in this discussion today, I'm glad to have Bruno Sserunkuma with over 30 years of experience and practice in this particular aspect of visual art, which is ceramic art. Glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
And say hello to our viewers.
Hello, our viewers. You're welcome to this discussion.
All right.
Yeah.
To start it right away, why is it that ceramic art is not as vibrant as the elements of drawing and painting?
Yeah, I don't know why, but according to history, it's one of the oldest forms of art.
Yes.
And some people say that even God was a potter because a human being was made from clay.
Yes.
From soil. And the clay is one type of soil. So that one shows that God
is as old as humanity.
Yeah. So it's one of the oldest forms of art. And then when you look in the Bible, like the machine which we are using, the potter's wheel, it even appears in the Bible. So that one shows that's a very old practice. Yeah.
All right, so Mr. Sserunkuma, briefly talk about yourself and your interest or the genesis of how you fell in love. What drew you into, one, the art industry, but to be particular, the ceramic form of art that you practice?
Yeah, actually, my liking of art was accidental. If I can give you my background, my education background, I was doing my O-level in Ndeje SS.
Ndeje SS.
During that time, we had the war. And the Ndeje is in Luwero.
The very source.
Yes. In fact, we had to leave that place when we were walking up to Kampala during that time. So when the results came back, I was not able to go back to Ndeje SS. So I was lucky and I was given a place in Kibuli SS.
Yes, which is now around town.
Yeah, around town. And in Kibuli SS, I was doing sciences. And my target was to become a medical doctor. And the reason why I wanted to become a medical doctor, I was very close with my mother. Because my mother did a lot for my education. So I knew that when she gets sick, I'll be the one to look after her. So that's why it was my major target to become a medical doctor. So I was doing sciences. So, but in Ndeje, they used to force us to go for sports in the evening. So for me, I never wanted sports. So I used to hide in the art room. And the art teacher encouraged me to register for it.
Even when you were taking the
sciences. So during our time, they were allowing us to do 4 principles.
Yes.
So I was doing PCB stroke art. Yes.
Interesting how the subject that you stroked actually turned out to be your main source of income.
Yes. And the reason why, because in Ndeje we were doing even art and we had also ceramics.
Okay.
We had one of our teacher who was specializing in pottery making and was called Mr. Cheyune. So that's how I joined the art.
Okay.
And in our finals at Chibuli SS, I think I didn't do well in practicals in biology. So I was not given medicine.
Yes.
So instead I was given botany and zoology.
Okay.
And I didn't like those specializations, so I applied for change to art. And because I was science-based, that's how I ended up in ceramics, because in ceramics there is a lot of science. Yes.
Yes, so how was the journey now joining university, acquiring the skills and the education bit of it, the professional bit of it, and you're long now choosing to come into practice even after? Because very many people, after university, they choose to ditch the, their professions, the ones they have qualified in, to pursue other things. Understand, even given your times, most people would choose business. After all, your first option was medicine, which you didn't get. So you would be like, art probably wasn't my first priority, and you get other options.
Yeah, I was lucky that during our time were very few people doing art. Like our number were like 23.
Okay.
Taking on Bachelor of Art and Fine Art. And were 2 people who got first class.
Okay.
So I was lucky during that time I got a first class. And during our time, once you get a first class, then the university will take, you are retained under the staff development program.
Okay.
So I was a graduate fellow. So I was like, I didn't look for a job, and straight away I was taken over by.
Oh, that
university.
is now how you got into
Yes.
teaching and
Yes,
lecturing at Makerere.
yes.
And understand you just recently resigned. Is it resigned?
No, I didn't resign.
Resign? Yes.
No, when you clock 60,
oh yes,
you are able to retire.
So you're retired.
Yes.
Currently retired.
Yes.
From the Margaret Trowell School of Industry and Fine Arts, Makerere.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you were taught at Makerere for how long?
Our program was for 3 years, the undergraduate.
Yes.
Then after that, when I joined as a graduate fellow, then I started my master's.
Oh, immediately.
Yes.
As you also tutored.
Yeah, and I graduated in 1994. Yeah.
Okay. So your time lecturing at Makerere University, how did that shape your practice even more?
Yeah, the shaping me, I was teaching, but at the same time practicing. And the 2 people who influenced me to my practice, one of them was Mr. John Mugisha.
Yes.
He was also a graduate fellow. The other one is Professor Philip Kwesiga. So they were people mentoring me when I had just joined.
Okay.
And I found they were producing, but at the same time doing their masters. Yeah. So I started also producing my work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And understand that at the time, there were no such deep structures for visual art. Also, to note that you are one of the pioneers of the Naccau.
Yes.
The Naccau here at the National Theatre.
Yes.
So I want you to paint for me a picture of how that was back in the day, setting up Naccau. You at Makerere now, a student, and the setting up of Naccau as a space and a platform. I understand at the very beginning it wasn't Naccau. What was it before, and how did you people manage to get yourselves together to build such a structure that over the years evolved to what it is today as Naccau?
Yeah, during that time we had the Minister of Culture, and the Minister of Culture was responsible for fine art. And I remember during that time we had one of the strong army staff, that is the General Eli Tumwine.
Who was part of...
who was part of the art. And during that time, we had National Theatre, and they had that ground where you currently find Naccau.
Yes.
So we thought about it in the Ministry of Culture that we should have a place where to sell, to have an outlet of the art. And I was part of the association, part of the Ministry of Culture who used to discuss about this issue. And there was an association which was responsible for Naccau, but it was not combining all of us.
Okay.
So after that, then we were able to join hands with Mr. Nyanze and the other people, and then we started in Naccau. So Naccau has been operating.
That's the brief background.
Yes.
So
yes.
at Makerere, back to Makerere.
Yes.
With all the other forms of art, how did you come to a conclusion of particularly the ceramics or pottery?
Ceramics? It was my professor, the late Professor Musango. I think because I had a background in chemistry and physics.
Yes.
So, and
is there a way they...
Yeah, they combine, because in ceramics we have a lot of science, especially when you are dealing with materials which you use the glazes, the colors,
mixing of chemicals.
Yeah, even making your clay bodies. Yeah, you see these tiles, how they are made. Those are specific clay bodies. You can make stoneware bodies, porcelain, and then earthenware bodies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most people see this kind of art, the ceramic art, as simply a form of decoration, and you know, how does it contribute to functional design in our everyday life?
Yeah, by the way, pottery making is one of the functional craft, one of the functional art, because normally the pots which we use for waters are made by potters.
Yes.
Where
particularly for that function.
Yeah, for keeping water. Then the vivia or the bowls from where people eat from.
Okay.
Those are made out of clay. Even before the coming of the metallic saucepans.
Yes.
People used to cook from clay pots, and those were made from clay. And all those are functional products. Yes.
Okay. Speaking of ceramics, in relation to our general art and culture or identity.
Yes.
Is ceramic art also deeply rooted into our culture, you know, heritage? If you could speak something about that.
Yes. As I've told you, pottery or ceramics is one of the first set of art. And people used to produce these products for functionality, like to keep water. And people are saying that even this was accidental. So people used to sleep in grass.
Thatched houses.
Yeah. But one time, one of them caught fire. And when it caught fire, the ground and some of the products which they had used became very strong.
Yes. So
the person owning that hut thought maybe if I start eating this, then they can be used.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. In a day and age where the government is looking at solving the unemployment question and looking at our industry, the arts and culture industry, as one of those key alternatives to channel young people, the youth, into finding employment. What does it take for a random young person to start practicing and making this and to start earning? How easy is it? Where is the knowledge acquired? Where does one start from?
It's easy because you can access the materials which we use for pottery or for ceramics easily. Uganda is well distributed with clay. In most parts of Uganda, when you go there, you can pick some samples of clay, and when you test, our clay in Uganda is one of the best clays. So it is easy to access the material and then to produce products out of it. And these products can be functional. And what is interesting, of recent, people are now realizing that some of the products which we are using are not safe for life. for example, the plastics.
Yes.
So people are going back for using clay products. In fact, when you go to Europe, it's very difficult to find a home where people serve food on plastics.
Yes.
Because those plastics are not safe for your life. Yeah, when you put hot things, there is a reaction which goes on, and you end up eating some of the poison.
Yes, so you've talked about the raw materials that are required in making of these, but I believe there is also a certain kind of expertise or knowledge or education that is involved to get these to the best quality, like you do. So, how does one start? How does one get there?
Yeah, it involves a lot of, as I've told you, a lot of science, a lot of heating, and a lot of experiments, especially to use materials. Like after you have made your plate or your bowl, then you need to glaze it, so that it can be safe for life, for use in the home.
Okay.
So there is a lot of science, but even when you are not using all those materials, you can burnish. And nowadays people want things which are not glazed, because also glaze, if it is not well handled, it may not also be safe for your life.
All right.
But people now use burnished pieces which are not glazed. You go to a very rich family in Europe, you find all the products which they are using, they are unglazed clay products.
Okay. Let me take you back to Naccau as the umbrella body that is taking you. What has Naccau done to see to it that, because one thing I know about Naccau is at least all the forms of art, there is at least a particular shop that is designated to at least deal in something. And must be that your shop, all your spaces at Naccau are dealing in ceramics. Are you doing institutional kind of training as Naccau all yourself? Do you offer certain hands-on training?
Yeah.
And what does it take if a person out there watches this and wants to engage?
For all those years, Naccau has been operating and linking up with the other government institutions and the foreign institutions, and we have had several projects operated for improving the products, especially on design. So most of the producers learn through apprenticeship.
Yes.
You see your mother doing the mat or doing the basket, then you learn how to do it. And they don't have knowledge how to design new products. And if we are targeting a foreign market, then it means we must produce products which are functional and those people are going to use those products apart from using them as decoration. So Naccau has been going ahead to do product development, to do some projects to promote the products up to that level so that we can participate internationally. Yes.
When people out there, I talked about government solving the unemployment question. When people look at art as a whole, they have not yet appreciated, generally speaking, away from the practitioners, they have not fully appreciated this kind of craft. And even when I hosted Mr. Nyanzi, OHT Wanyanzi, I posed the same question to him. Does art really earn? Can it be that sole kind of job that you wake up to go and work, and does it really earn? If you could paint a picture, particularly for the ceramics, is it something that if a person put their all into all they chose to invest, is it something that can fully sustain them like any other job, say a teacher or, you know, most of these other jobs?
Yeah, it does. But in Africa, people had a negative attitude, especially in Uganda. And I almost ran away from this profession.
Even yourself?
Yes. Because when I decided to take art, the neighbors, they were telling my sister where I used to stay, mwana wakola ate ebifaananyi, siga ebifaananyi. Even you see drama, even music. So people used to underrate.
People used to call music artists Badongo.
Yeah. Umwana wa fukati omudongo. Yeah. But nowadays, these are the richest people, and the people are now running for it. So I think our curriculum must change, and luckily enough, the Minister of Education has tried its level-based. They have changed the curriculum, and these practical-oriented practices are now coming on board, and part of it is ceramics, because we have the materials, and people, because we are also producing products which we use in our home, the bowls, the plates, the pots for planters, for flowers. So the market is there. Other than importing those products, these products can be produced here in Uganda.
Okay. Let's speak design, healthy, and community. Before we came on air, we were having a discussion where you told me that art, particularly the ceramics that you deal in, or any other kind of art, there is an intersection all the way it relates with the general well-being of people. In this day and age where people have a lot of health problems, there are new health risks, things like depression, you know, old age people coping up, you know, your family, a father, a mother, and children grow up, they leave you also, you retire, you get into old age sickness. Tell me about how art, you know.
So when I was still at Makerere, I used to head one of the department, that's the Department of Industrial Art and Applied Design, no commonly known as the Yard.
The Yard, yes.
Yeah. So that department, we used to have links.
Yes.
With foreign academicians or institutions, especially through external examining. So we used to have professors from UK to come to visit. And one of them, a very prominent professor, Professor Jackie Gill, visited, came as an external examiner to our department.
Yes.
And at the end of the marking of the exam, we had a meeting, and we said we could link up and develop some projects. And then we put our heads together, and we came up with one of the projects, which is Design, Health, and Community. Design, Health, and Community. And this project was a duplicate from South Africa, because this professor had worked with one of the university in South Africa,
so he just
Durban University of Technology. And they were dealing with the community called KwaZulu-Land. And this KwaZulu-Land, the ladies there were making dolls, but they were also having similar challenges which we had in Uganda, that is HIV/AIDS. They had also a serious problem with AIDS. So they were using art to promote awareness about HIV, because these people from KwaZulu-Land were uneducated. They could not read and write.
Yes.
And here in Uganda, we also have a big population which cannot read and write. So we thought we can implement a similar project here, since we also had a similar challenge with HIV/AIDS. So that's how we started that project.
Yes.
So instead of using those, for us here, because culturally we are using the bark cloth, so we decided to use the bark cloth. And we linked up with some groups, associations, which were dealing with craft. And one of them was the Nalumunye Craft Women. So we were working with that group, and then from there we linked up with the Kalisizo Hospital, because they had also an association. Once they find that you have HIV, they created an association. And one of the areas which they were dealing with was craft making. So we linked up. And since our students had the knowledge about design, they could link up and assist these ladies to improve the design of their products.
Okay. To be specific, how therapeutic was this to them in terms of how could it help them with the healing and forgetting the reality of that? Just
at times,
paint a picture.
At times when you have a problem, it may be very difficult, and you remember when AIDS had just started, people used to hide, even if you go and they test you and find you positive.
Yes.
So you could not even tell your partner that I'm sick. You keep quiet. So when we came up with this project, instead of telling the public what had gone wrong with you, you could express yourself on your art.
Yes.
And they give all the information.
You even get busy and you get your mind.
Yes. You expose and get your mind and say what you want to say in your artwork.
Okay.
So the same happens to singers. Some people, they sing, but there is something which they want to expose.
Yes.
Yeah. Even in artwork. So there is one of the work, I don't have it here, which I did on AIDS. And I was talking about ekiwuka ekyagwa mu ntamu.
Yes. Tell us about that.
Ekiwuka ekyagwa mu ntamu, like people used to cook from clay pots.
Yes.
So one time you go back home and you find a big snake in the pot which you are using for cooking. What do? You see, the Baganda used not to call a snake musota.
Yes.
They used to call it a chiwuka. So if you go back and find a big snake in the pot, what do? If you try to kill the snake, you are going to break the pot, because the pot, clay pot, is fragile.
Yes.
So what do? So that question is like AIDS. So suppose you go back and go to the clinic and they test you and find that you have AIDS. What do? So with that chiwuka.
It also gives you another side to overthink. You get creative around it. I understand some of the raw materials you use to put these products together are actually eco-friendly, which is a plus. And if I may ask, what are some of the challenges as an industry, particularly the ceramic artists, some of the challenges that you face to get these products out here?
So one of the challenges is firing your pots. Because if you don't have a kiln, the local kiln uses wood. So like when we are burning matafari, bricks for building. So that one, the government is discouraging people from using wood for firing. So you have to get an electric kiln. So where you connect your electric kiln, and then you burn your pots.
Yes.
But you know, getting electricity in Uganda is very expensive. So
even I think acquiring that particular machine
is not easy.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is one of the challenge, the firing of the clay products and the glazes. It's one of the challenge. By the way, we have trained a lot of people at Makerere, but it becomes very difficult for them
to get the startup capital to acquire these. So you said the machine is called what again?
Kiln.
A kiln.
A kiln.
Kiln.
Yeah, pottery kiln or ceramic kiln. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it imported?
It is imported, but they are also very young people who are trying to make them here in Uganda.
So the people starting out have the first, Ugandan kind of made.
Yes.
The localized ones.
Yes.
The localized machines that they can start with.
Yes.
Which particular one is at your store?
At the moment, I've acquired the electric kiln, but now I need to fix 3-phase because it's using 3-phase.
Okay.
And it's a bit very expensive. But currently, I'm also using a wood firing kiln to burn. But I know in future, I'm going also to fix one.
Okay.
Electric one. Yes.
With that particular challenge, what do you think stakeholders, all people in arts leadership, in terms of lobbying now, like under Naccau, if it is to lobby, what are those particular other things that they should put in?
For example, I've had a chance to move outside. What normally association do, you acquire one machine. And use it as a group so that you don't acquire it individually.
Okay.
So as a group, maybe we can get assistance from government, or they give us some money, we buy a kiln, and maybe we pay back, and we use it as a group. That one can work out. Because it may be very difficult to acquire it individually. Yes, yes.
Okay, Mr. Sserunkuma, I want you to paint for me a picture of how is the state of particularly ceramic art in Uganda in terms of practice, in terms of market. How would you even market these products? How many? Understand you may not have the exact number, but if you look as a person who has spent all these very many years in practice, how is the state? How are the numbers? How are people responding to people in practice? How is the number? Is it promising? Where do you fall as artists practicing this? Where do you market your products as well? How do you market them? Because I believe something like this might have even much more market outside the country. Yes.
I was lucky that in the year 2000, I was one of the artists who was selected by the French embassy through Alliance Française to go for an exhibition in Burkina Faso.
Yes.
And when I took my pots there, and one of the pots was talking about my mother. I've already told you that I was very close with my mother.
Yes.
So even some of the images, I was talking about my mother, the importance of the woman in society in Uganda, because the women do a lot to promote communities, but they are underrated. In some communities, you find with all that work, whatever they produce is taken by the husband. So I was lucky, and I went there. And when I went there for an exhibition in Ouagadougou, my work won a UNESCO award for Africa.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, I was given a chance to exhibit in Paris.
Yes.
So when I went to Paris and exhibited, and my pots had a lot of stories, so people were excited. They were excited, and then people wanted to come to Uganda and visit and see how the potters produce. But currently, not so many students have been offering pottery, because I've told you it is hard. It's not like painting.
Oh.
When you have
this is harder than
to survive in the field, because I've told you you need a lot of equipment.
Yes.
Like a potter's wheel, like a kiln.
A kiln.
Those are the basic.
Yes.
So acquiring them is not easy.
So most opt for the other.
Yes, yes. They go for fashion, they go for painting, they go for graphics. So there were very few students, but of recent it's now coming up, because government has also come up. Do you know that now we no longer import tiles, and most of the tiles are done in Uganda? So that industry is now taking very strong, because we have materials, and I know that in the near future it's going to be one of the strongest areas, sectors of art.
Okay.
But you can use your hand to hand build and produce pots which you can sell. Yeah.
Okay, you talked of the particular product that you made in you know, about your mother, picking inspiration from your mother.
Yes.
I would want to pick from you, what is that one product or piece of your work that you've done and best represented your vision and even impact on the community?
Yeah. You see, for me, each artist or each potter has a style. It's like singers. So you can listen to Chameleon, he doesn't sing the same way how Baby Cool
sings.
Yeah. So each artist has a style. So for me, I was using the surfaces of my pot as a canvas to put images which were giving messages. So because I was very close, and I always like the ladies because of what they do in the community.
Yes.
So I used to talk about African mother.
Yes.
And the challenge they go through what they have done for Africa. They do a lot. If you go to West Africa, you go to the East Africa, you go everywhere, the ladies are doing a lot to promote their Africa. So I'm so connected with the African mother. So I used to use the surfaces of my pots as a canvas to give images. That's how I came up with that work.
Okay.
Like the other work which talks about AIDS, the Chuke Chagwa Montam. It's also very prominent, and when I produce it, whoever comes to my exhibition, they get the story,
fall in deep love with it.
They want to buy it.
Okay. If you could implement one major policy, one major policy change to support Ugandan artists, what would it be? One, particularly for your ceramic artists, and another for the general arts and the culture sector.
Yeah, one of the policies would be maybe to put a lot of emphasis. On education and culture. The Minister of Culture. It has a lot of potential, because we need to create our stamp. People need to know that these products are from Uganda, and we should support it and promote it. For example, the baskets which are made in Kasese, in Fort Portal, they are very unique. The baskets which are made here in the center, they are very unique. They have very unique colors.
Yes.
So if those cultural industries are supported, I think Uganda will be promoted.
Okay.
And then to also, since we have the game, we have the animals here, the wildlife, then the cultural industry can also promote the tourism industry. Yeah.
Okay, so Mwami Sserunkuma, what are you currently working on? What is your latest piece of work? What is it that you're currently working on?
Yeah, currently I'm working on a piece which some organization from Israel acquired that piece. And I was talking about the current issues of land ownership challenges. So nowadays, if you don't have the land title, you are not sure whether you sell in that place. Yeah. So I produced one of the pieces called Chapa Mungalo. And they took it. There is an organization from Israel, and it was working in Mozambique.
Okay.
So the piece became so exciting, and they have just contacted me, and they want to give it as a gift to the World Bank. Okay. And they are saying I should be part of the group which is going to donate. So if I'm lucky, in May I may travel to USA.
I think that is something to be happy about for one, for yourself, for the arts and crafts industry practitioners, the Buganda Kingdom, the Katikiro, the initiator of the Chapa Mungalo, and okay.
By the way, I'm linking up now with Buganda Kingdom to start this project of design, health, and community.
Please, it will be, and I think they will be glad to and willing to support. All right. Understand some of your children or family members are in the same practice.
Yes.
If you could briefly tell me about how they joined. Is it something they learned from home? You see, they usually say, an apple doesn't fall so far away from the tree.
That one is also surprising. They also accidentally came to
like father.
Yes. So I've been encouraging some of them to do art at the university, but they didn't want to do it.
Yes.
But when through Naccau, I have a shop. And my wife was a primary teacher, and I discouraged her, and I brought her
into art.
Yeah, to run that shop.
Yes.
And
at the time when you were still at Makerere?
Yes. She has been running it, and she went into business with
Yes.
it because she's not an artist.
Yes.
And she went on encouraging the children also to be part of the business. So that's how they came to, but some of them, apart from my last born, who is in S2, she's the only one who is so much interested in art. Yes, yes, she's a girl. Yeah.
I've seen, I think it was your son, one of your sons,
Yes, yes.
who has also an exhibition kind of space.
Yes, yes.
Up, and so for him, he learned firsthand from you.
Yes, yes, yes.
But studied something different.
But yeah, different. But when they came here, they started also practicing. And surprisingly, this is an area, and I can give them as an example for those people who don't want to do art. Because they are now supporting themselves.
Yes. Thanks to Naccau, which actually sponsors and supports this particular show.
Yes.
Yeah. But away from that, actually, do you think it's a good idea for parents to push their children into coming into their professions or their kind of work?
Yes, yes. Now, one of my bosses, who is the deputy principal at Makerere, it's called Professor Kizito Maria Kasule.
Okay.
Has a private school called the Nagenda International Academy of Art and Design. So that school is encouraging people, and I'm also part of it.
Yes.
So we encourage people to come to art, and now parents are realizing, because if you do art, you don't look for a job. You can start your own job.
Okay.
And apart from this art can also work as art therapy. So if you have been having a lot of challenges, you can relax when you get clay. You know, clay can be eaten, it can also be used. You forget what you have been using, and then you relax. Okay. So on Sundays and Saturdays, I have started a project which we call, which came from pictures of aging in Uganda.
Yes.
Because we were dealing with old people, now we are dealing with young people. So on Sundays, at a Bite of Benin, it's a big restaurant in Naccau. People come and relax. And we give them pots to paint, we give them clay to make on potter's wheel. And now this project is growing up. At times we get like 100 people coming on Sunday, and we charge them.
Okay.
And
speaking of charges,
yes,
this particular one,
yes, yes,
if the camera can just get this right,
yes,
this particular pot,
yes,
goes for how much to paint a picture for someone that is watching?
Normally we give a standard price. So each person who comes for our classes, they pay like 30,000.
Okay.
For painting and for making, and what you have painted you take.
You take.
Yeah. So now people, when they are celebrating maybe birthday parties, they call us or they come and we arrange for them. Then they paint and they exchange gifts. And that is becoming very popular now. Okay. Yes.
Okay, as we close this up, I want you to tell me about Naccau, being one of the members that saw it transform to what it is today.
Yes, yes.
Over the years.
Yeah.
How has the journey been?
The journey has been not straight. It has a lot of hills and valleys. Now we are finding challenges because the number of tourism, the tourism industry has gone a bit down. We are no longer getting a lot of tourists like we used, and that one started during COVID.
Oh.
By the way, I was one of the victims of COVID, and I almost lost my life. And people had given up. So our numbers reduced a bit, but now it's picking up.
It's picking
up. And what we are doing also is to start producing, like encouraging people to come and they produce mats, produce baskets, produce pots. And these are not tourists, even our people. And rich people send their kids to come and enjoy. Some people enjoy and they come and sit with us and then they start producing. So I think we need to change our links to the community.
To the community
yeah.
now.
So the way now we are letting it, for example, who people didn't know that art can be linked up to health.
Yes.
But now it's part of health.
Of health.
Yes, yes.
Probably before we know it, art will be connecting with something else.
Yes.
Because it's already entertainment, it's leisure, it's now turning to health. Okay, so wrapping it up.
Yes.
Where can someone find you if they come to the National Theatre and they get to Naccau? If you could tell our viewers your shop number and how they can get you the times you're there.
Now, after retiring from Makerere, by the way, I've been always looking for this because I didn't tell you, when I went to France, I got a lot of orders from there, but because I was teaching, I couldn't fulfill the orders. So I've been always looking for this time when I retire and I concentrate on the business. So my store at Naccau is store 21, but apart from that, Naccau has been very kind to me. They have given me space to start a Islamic studio. So that studio, I'm expecting, I've already acquired the potter's wheel, which is the basic equipment. I'm also looking forward to get an electric kiln so that we start firing, so people can come for classes. Yeah.
What would it take for one to be part of the classes?
Yeah, you pay like 30,000 for 4 hours.
For 4 hours.
And you experience, or you touch clay, you make pots from clay, and what you produce, you take. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sserunkuma. And that has been our show today, powered and proudly brought to you by Naccau, that is also offering now a ceramic studio to Mr. Sserunkuma, so that they can enable all of you out there that might want to do stuff like this.
Thank you also for hosting me.
A pleasure.
And I would like also to tell my viewers, because I've not been having like this interview
opportunity,
so I'm giving you one of my pots as a gift.
Thank you so
that
much.
you take it home.
Thank you so much.
And make sure that you keep, this is very fragile, make sure that you keep it, like after 10 years when I ask for it, you'll still be keeping it.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Sserunkuma. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, until next Thursday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This is good. Thank you so much. This one I'll